So I used to think that the whole point of being an artist who makes content was just to sell more art. Like if I showed my work, shared my process, and posted consistently enough, the sales would just follow, and that would be that. Like I'd be able to build a sustainable living from making what I loved. Simple. Now, I know some people will say, just learn SEO, make a product, rank it on Etsy, and done. Yes, that is a path. For some people, it genuinely works. And if that is you, then brilliant. But, and I suspect I'm not alone in this, SEO is basically a foreign language to me that I've been meaning to learn since probably 2020, and I'm still on lesson 1. But what I've actually discovered after years of making content and building an audience from nothing and watching the patterns in how money actually flows into a creative business is that I had it completely backwards. The art was never the problem. The art was good, but sales from artwork alone, even consistent ones, almost never add up to a full living, not without something else sitting underneath them. And that something else wasn't more products or better listings on Etsy. It was the content itself. The content was the business. I just hadn't built it that way in the beginning. So I want to walk you through the 5 income streams that content can actually build for your creative business. And I'll share my own experiences with each one to give you a realistic picture of what those numbers could actually look like for you. Because if you are a product-based artist who's making content or thinking about starting, I want you to understand what content can actually do for your income beyond just driving people to your shop. And stick with me to the end, because the last income stream is the one you've probably heard talked about the most, like 1,000 times, but I want to go really deep on this one because I think most creators are leaving serious money on the table with it. And it's simply because they're only ever being given surface level advice. So if you're watching this, chances are you're already making things, physical products, things that take time and skill to create, and then you price them and put them out into the world and you hope that people buy them. And some of them do. Maybe you're getting pretty regular orders. You might have had brilliant launches, repeat customers, or a product that sells in the background, maybe through your email marketing. And that feels so good because it feels like proof that it's working. But, and I say this as someone who has been there, there's often this moving goalpost feeling that never goes away. Like the more you sell, the more you make, it just doesn't feel like enough. The income is there, but it also feels really fragile. One slow month and the whole thing feels like it could fall apart. And you start wondering if you're just not working hard enough or not promoting enough. And I want to offer you a different diagnosis, because even without knowing your situation, I don't think the problem is you, not me, not Hermione, you. Shall I leave that in? Okay, moving on. I don't think the problem is you or your art or your pricing or your audience size. You've probably heard 100 times that you should build multiple income streams, but hearing it and actually having streams that are substantial enough to take the strain when your product sales are slow, that is a very different thing. And that is where most people trip up. Now, I'm not saying you need 5 streams that each pay a full wage, but if you're doing affiliate marketing, is it actually tiding you over in a slow month? Or are you just making pennies from an occasional Amazon recommendation and calling it a passive income stream? So most artists use content to sell their art. Makes sense, right? I've made thousands of sales from one single digital brush pack off the back of a YouTube video that's slowly grown in views over the last 3 years. That evergreen sales model is genuinely brilliant, but it's only one layer. So the shift I want you to make is to stop thinking about your content as a funnel that leads to your shop and start thinking about the content as the product itself. Because when you build a channel or a podcast or a newsletter or a combination of those, and you build it properly with consistency, strategy, and an understanding of what your audience actually needs, the content becomes its own engine. It attracts brand partnerships, it earns AdSense revenue, and it becomes the foundation for potential courses, memberships, digital products, and that can really compound. So I have monetized this channel, the Creative Juice Club, in 12 uploads, like 12 videos. And that didn't just happen. It wasn't luck. It was years of learning what works, taking feedback, understanding why things didn't land, and applying all of that to something new. So every video that flopped on my art channel, Fizz and Flourish, every thumbnail that nobody clicked, that was all me just building the skill set that made monetization in 12 uploads here possible. And that is the thing I really want you to hear, because if you're in the early stages and it feels slow and difficult and like nothing is working, that isn't failure. That's you building your skill set to go on to the next chapter faster. You just can't see it yet. And regardless of where you are right now, whether you're just starting out or you've been making content for years, these are the 5 layers that I want you to think about, because understanding them changes how you build. And this is not a to-do list. It's for you to look at and go, okay, I see all the options, and then you make a really intentional choice about which ones you want to focus on and which ones you don't. So number 1 is product sales. This is where most artists start, and for good reason. It's a really solid foundation. So physical products, digital products, print on demand, commissions, you're using the content you make to softly sell to the people who want it. And when your content naturally leads people there, it can work really well because it's a very natural process. So for me, I shared my process on studio vlogs, and people were invested in my journey, and those people then joined my journey and supported my shop. And it doesn't have to be studio vlogs. It might be a tutorial that showcases something you sell, or a process video with a shop link. That's your content doing exactly what it should. But the problem with relying on this alone is that the moment you stop making content, the sales tend to stop or slowly decline, which is why it shouldn't be your only income stream. Otherwise, you're just going to totally burn yourself out. So number 2 is platform monetization. So this could be AdSense on YouTube, podcast ad slots, that sort of thing. It usually kicks in once you hit certain thresholds. So for YouTube, that's 1,000 subscribers plus 4,000 watch hours based on the last 365 days, like a rolling year. And I'm going to be totally honest with you based on my own experience. AdSense is rarely life-changing on its own, but it's compounding. So I've had a video over the years that's made me over £3,500 just from one video. So when you divide that over the years, it's not a massive income stream month to month, but it's £3,500 on one video I made 3 years ago, and it's still making money today. So when I was renting my studio space, back when I was regularly posting to Fizz and Flourish, that income stream covered my rent and it was running in the background. I didn't have to do anything. So AdSense isn't as glamorous as a lot of creators make out, but it can cover some of your bills. And the more you post, the more views you gain, the more it compounds. So number 2 is brand partnerships. Now, a few people have reached out and asked me to talk more about brand partnerships. So I'll talk a little bit about it here, but if you want a detailed video about getting brand partnerships and how I go about it, leave a comment below and let me know if that's something you're interested in. Now, this is where it starts to really feel exciting, because once your channel has a really defined niche and a real audience, even if it's a small one, like a specific one, brands will reach out to you, and a single brand deal can pay more than an entire month of product sales. So I've never shared these numbers before, but for my first ever brand deal on YouTube, I maybe had less than 2,000 subscribers, and I was paid £800 for one video. That's probably about $1,000 US, and it felt unreal at the time. Now, the more you grow, the more valuable your audience becomes to a brand, the more they'll likely pay. One partnership can really take more pressure off than 30 orders and that you spend weeks making and packing. And I don't say that to dismiss the products or the work you're doing. I say it because that pressure relief makes such a difference to your creativity, because when you're not in survival mode with your income, you stop showing up in sales mode. You start showing up creatively instead. And in my experience, that is exactly when the artwork sells more naturally anyway. People can feel the difference between someone that's creating because they love it and someone creating because they need the income. And just to give you an example, as of right now, on this second YouTube channel, I have fewer than 3,000 subscribers, and I have already lost count of how many brands have reached out for paid collaborations, like genuinely a few times a week for the past couple of months. Some of them haven't been the right fit, but some have, and those have been really hard to turn down. And I'm going to tell you why I've been turning them down, because I think there is a lesson in there that you can take away from this. So I've been saying no to these brand deals because I have my own software company for creative business owners that's just relaunched this week after a big rebrand. I haven't even announced the new name actually. I think I mentioned it in my last video that I was gonna reveal it, but it was called My Creative Hub and it's now called Artova. And I shall leave the link below if you want to have a nosy at the brand new website that I've spent months building. But anyway, right now on this channel, I want to be able to show you what that platform can do for creative businesses. And I think that message would get totally diluted the moment I start promoting someone else's brand every other week on my channel. So my focus is there for now, but I'm not telling you that as a plug, although actually that was a very good segue, but I'm telling you because it taught me something important. Be very careful who you say yes to. And in the beginning, it feels really exciting when brands get in touch, and that excitement can cloud your judgment. And I know because I've done it. I once promoted a designer handbag because honestly, I wanted the handbag. I'd never owned anything designer. I got swept up in it, and looking back, I couldn't care less about designer things, and I don't think my audience did either, so it just didn't really sit right. And that is no shade to the brand, but I shouldn't have said yes. So now I'm very selective because your audience trusts you, and that trust is worth way more than a one-off brand deal. Number 4 are your own digital offers, things like courses, memberships, templates, guides. But I don't think people realize this until they're in the middle of it. But your content is the longest job interview for those offers. In most cases, by the time someone buys your course, they've watched 20 of your videos. They know how you think, they trust you, they know how they're gonna learn from you. So that sale is already half made before they ever click buy. So I don't really buy into these massive claims where people say, I posted one digital product and made 7K a month in passive income for all eternity. And maybe some of these stories are true. Maybe someone had a video blow up and hit millions of views, but that's not most people's reality, and it wasn't mine either. So from my own experience of selling brush packs and other digital products, the sales can absolutely be consistent, but you still need to show up. They're one of the most passive parts of my business, and I genuinely think that digital products can change the shape of your entire business, and I wouldn't be talking about them if I didn't think that. But it's not a one and done situation like a lot of people want you to think, and usually those people are selling you a guide on how to do exactly that. So I'd rather give an honest picture than a really exciting one that doesn't actually hold up in real life, because the real version is still really good. It just takes a bit longer than a viral reel would have you believe. So layer 5 is affiliate marketing. Now, let me tell you the truth about affiliate marketing that nobody seems to talk about, because most creators mention affiliate marketing as an option, move on, and I actually want to go a little deeper here to give you as much value and insight as possible. So if you don't know, affiliate income is when you recommend a product, a tool, or a service that you genuinely love, and a company pays you a percentage when someone buys through your link. It sounds simple, but most creators leave money on the table at the percentage. So not all affiliate programs are built the same. Let me explain. So you'll hear a lot of creators talk about Amazon. And look, I am in the Amazon affiliates program. I can't remember what it's called, Amazon Associates. And it's brilliant if you're already using products in your videos and you just want a low effort bonus. But Amazon's commission rates are tiny, like pennies, a couple of pounds maybe. For me, Amazon worked out at around £30 a month. Now, if you're doing full step-by-step process videos showing people how to make something very specific that requires a lot of tools and materials, then Amazon commissions can genuinely add up. And I know a creator personally earning at around £700 a month just from Amazon alone. So I'm not saying that it's impossible, but if you're only sharing products now and then, it's not going to earn you that kind of money. So for most of us who aren't making Amazon their whole thing, the bigger money lives somewhere else. Software and artist collabs, and actually reading the fine print before you sign up to anything. So for years, the standard commission I came across was around 6%. Now that does sound small, but it really depends on the types of products you're promoting. So on a low ticket product, it is going to be a small commission. You'll maybe earn a couple of pounds per sale, but I was also getting 6% on a high ticket item, which was £100 in my pocket for every single sale. Same percentage, completely different payout. Then there are the collabs. So I once partnered with another creative company on a project where I designed a keyboard and they produced it. And they offered to split 50% of the profits with me, which was a great deal and unlike a lot of the partnerships that I'd had in the past. And that kind of arrangement becomes possible by building real trust with your audience and a genuine relationship with another business. So apart from that one deal, all of those years of low percentages shaped exactly how I wanted to build my own affiliate program when the time came. Because when you've been on the receiving end of putting so much effort into sharing a company, filming, editing, promoting, you want to be rewarded for that. So when I sat down to build the affiliate program for Artova, the software that I talked about earlier, I chose to do it differently. So I went with a really generous commission rate, and not because that's the industry standard, because it's definitely not. I did it because I'm not a big corporation, I'm a creator, and I want to grow with the people that are supporting me. And by the way, if you have tried Artova and loved it and want to be an affiliate, you can apply to become one, get that generous commission. I shall leave the link in the description. So it's not about chasing every affiliate link you find. It's about choosing the programs where the audience aligns and the maths actually works for you. There are so many other streams of income that you can build into your creative business, but I don't want to overwhelm you and give you this huge long list, so I've just chosen a few of my favorites. Now, I've mentioned Artova a few times in this video, but I haven't actually told you all the exciting news around it, so if you don't mind, I just want to share that with you briefly because I am bursting at the seams about it. So as I said earlier, Artova used to be called My Creative Hub, but this isn't just a fresh coat of paint in terms of a rebrand. It is a whole new chapter, a new dedicated website, loads of new features, deeper workflows, and a system built around this idea that your creative business should feel like one connected home, not a bunch of scattered tools that don't talk to each other. So if you're anything like me, your business is probably living across 10 different places right now. You've got ideas scattered everywhere, notebooks, tabs, the notes app, random scraps of paper you swear you're going to come back to, or you're consistent for a week and then life happens and it all falls apart again. And the tools out there that are meant to fix all of this are almost always one of two things. They're either too corporate, like they're designed for big teams, or they're a blank canvas, which means that you've now got to spend your time building a system from scratch before you can even start using the thing. And neither of those work when you've maybe got an hour to your day of actually running your creative business. So it's a workspace designed specifically for creative business owners. Your product launches get broken down into clear steps and your numbers aren't this scary mystery you keep avoiding. So if you fancy having a look, there is now a 7-day free trial with full access to everything. So I shall leave the link in the description below, or just go to artova.io and have a look around at the shiny new website. Okay, thanks for letting me share that exciting news. Let's go a bit deeper on the topic of this video. You're not an artist making content, you're a content creator who makes art. If you're ready to make content the real income engine for your creative business, not just a shop window for what you already make, but a proper compounding, multi-layered income stream, then you really do have to be willing to step into the role of being a content creator, not an artist who occasionally records a process video or someone that posts on Instagram when the mood strikes, but a content creator who happens to be an artist. And look, I already know that some of you are going to hate this idea. The words content creator might have just made you flinch, and I really get that. There are other routes. If SEO is a skill that you have, you're willing to learn, then go all in on that. But if SEO isn't your strength, and markets aren't enough to pay the bills, and you want to turn your art or craft into a full-time income, then this is the way. So you might feel like it's taking away from your artwork or your creativity, but Content creation is creative in itself, and it's a great way for you to share your work with the world. Now, I'm definitely not saying hustle and post every day on Instagram until you burn out, but there are ways to make this sustainable. And if you want to learn more about that, then go ahead and subscribe, because I'm sharing so much value and behind the scenes on this channel. When I made that shift in mindset on how I approached content creation, it became an enjoyment, not a chore. And that's because I wasn't trying to squeeze content out of my artwork as an afterthought. I was making content that happened to feature my artwork, and that is a completely different feeling with different pressure and a completely different outcome. So the thing I really want to challenge you on here is whether you're genuinely willing to be a content creator first and an artist second. Because what you decide on that one thing is going to shape everything that happens after it. And if your head is spinning with all of this, that is exactly why I built Artova. It's the system I use to keep my goals, ideas, content, and launches moving forward, built for how creative brains actually work, not corporate teams. And if you're thinking that you'd love to make content creation a foundation in your business, but you just don't have the time, remember, I'm doing this with a 4-year-old and 2-year-old twins. So go and watch the next video on how I build a sustainable business in limited time. Just click here to watch.